Hello guys, so I just wrapped up an episode with Isabel Wolf, our general manager, recapping on what life has looked like for the last 6 weeks. 6 weeks ago, I started working with a business mentor and it's been pretty life-changing personally and professionally. I'm really excited about this new chapter of life, but it's also been pretty tough. So in this episode, I talk about what that 6 weeks has looked like, all the challenges, all the wins, all the cool things we have coming up. Hope you guys enjoy it.
So the point of this podcast, I guess, is just, it's called Catch Ups with Ed and Izzy, or if you guys have better names, please let us know privately or in the comments. So basically, we want to just try something new once a month. We're just going to chat shit and catch up on our lives. Eventually, I do want this to be like a live interactive thing. So if you guys wanted to ask us questions, I'm talking to people like they're actually there, but they're not there.
They are kind of there.
In 3 weeks time when this is out, we want to do a live so that people can actually like ask us questions and be a part of this situation. So it's kind of just taking some of our podcasts into a more different directions. I think a lot of feedback that we got is people want to see what we're like outside of this serious people that we portray in our everyday lives, and we're just not in the position yet to do this YouTube day in the life stuff. So I feel like this is
I still really want to do it.
Yeah, we will, but this is you can't even chill in the seat right now.
Chill.
So
okay, now the second vote that you guys are going to be voting on is does Ed look chill right now? Because these guys seem to think I look really uncomfortable. I mean, I wouldn't normally have a pink cushion on my lap, not gonna lie. It's quite comfy. I've got my legs up. I feel like there's nothing unchill about this position. But anyhow, I'll leave that to you.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
Okay, Dad. Anyways. So there's been a lot going on right now. I think I would like to start there. Like, we always start the podcast with like, how are you? And then we always have like an agenda afterwards. But like, seriously, how are you, Ed?
Like, okay, really?
Like, really?
Really, really? I am good. Good. Like, because I feel, oh God.
So you're not really good.
No, I am good, but I guess your response made me question, because you know me well, because we work very closely together and we spend a lot of time together. And I feel like your reaction to my answer of good made me question whether I actually am good. But okay. I feel very motivated. Let me be more accurate with my descriptive words. I feel very motivated at the moment. I feel very driven. Driven in like a professional sense, but also driven in like a personal sense. Like, I'm pushing myself physically with my training. I'm really wanting to upgrade myself. I think that has stayed probably pretty consistent. I don't feel like I've had a personal development drive, but yeah, I just feel like I'm just pushing the boat out there a little bit more in lots of different ways. Where that has all come from has been, I've started working with a business mentor. And I started working with him, I think it's been about 6 weeks now. We have a call every week. The reason I started working with a business mentor is I just felt for a really long time that I needed someone else. I think, naturally when you're at technically the top of the organization, you don't have many people to bounce ideas off. I mean, I bounce ideas off you all the time. And I have amazing people in this team who I can do that with. But there needs to be, I feel like there needs to be almost someone above me. Like, who's keeping me accountable? Who's telling me when I'm doing a shit job or I need to do a better job? Who's telling me when I'm being an asshole? Because I mean, you're pretty damn honest, but I'm sure there's still...
But you don't listen to me.
I'm sure there's still some things that you probably don't want to tell me.
So I don't get fired.
Exactly. Because if you do really offend me, I might fire you. And that is just a cold hard reality of being in the business, right? So, but also I think someone else who has more experience than me, who is, who's tried and tested in the things that I'm trying to accomplish with the business. And I think within our team, we don't have that. So it's been actually like a 2 to 3 year search looking for someone to fill this role. And I would say that probably wasn't what hasn't helped me find this person sooner. I didn't really know what I wanted. And I didn't really know what I was looking for in a mentor. If mentor was even the right word. Did I need a life coach? Did I need a business coach? Did I need someone strictly here to tell me what business decisions I need to make? Or did I need someone who's more holistic, who cared about my feelings and whatnot? And I'm quite a spiritual person as you are, and I believe that things come to us at the right times. And I came across this guy actually coincidentally through a podcast episode that we did.
Yeah.
One of the beautiful things about the podcast, got connected with this guy, and I just knew straight away that this is someone I need in my life right now. And with that, it's definitely not been like all rainbows and butterflies. It's been
How many times has he made you cry?
The first session I cried. Like I genuinely like hung up the phone and went outside, and like it wasn't like a watershed of just tears come down my eyes. I was fighting the tears a lot. I mean, my wife Cami was way more upset than I was, because she had heard this guy just berate me for an hour and was like, Ed, she's so sweet, but she's like, you're so much better than that. He doesn't know all the amazing things you've done. You created this great business. And I'm like, listen, it's all good. This is what I need. Like this is exactly what I need in my life. Like I appreciate the sympathy, but it's not needed right now. But there has been many moments like that. I've definitely become a little bit more thick-skinned, I think.
Every session.
I would say I'm pretty thick-skinned anyway, but yeah, I've definitely become a little bit more resilient to just handling that brutal honesty on a week-by-week basis. But it has definitely reignited like a drive in me to want to go above and beyond. I think in reflection, the pre-pandemic, I feel like I had this fire and this drive in me. And then when the pandemic came around and it was less about thriving, it was more about just survival. I don't think I ever truly like flicked out of that gear and switched back to a thriving mentality. Do you know what I mean? Even though our doors have been open now for a couple of years, like we've still been recovering. Yeah, for sure. But I think we've been recovered long enough that this gear change probably needed to happen, months ago, maybe a year ago. So, I mean, better late than never. I'm happy to be back into this space again. I'm waking up every day feeling very motivated, almost not wanting to go to sleep right now, because I just want to action ideas and make things happen. And it feels good to be existing in that space. What has been an interesting experiment as this has gone on is obviously I'm someone who thinks about health quite holistically. I think about my mental well-being, my physical well-being, my stress management.
Yeah.
I think about sleep a lot. I think about recovery, sympathy, all that crap, right? I think about that stuff a lot. And so I knew that, I think one of my concerns was, okay, if I'm going to up the ante on the workload, and I've signed up to the competition, so I'm going to be pushing my training a little bit more, and I want to see what I can do. Am I going to reach this point of burnout again, where everything's just going to crumble? And I've been at that point many times before. And I think with the pandemic, I've become very scared of getting there again. Like I had this fear of overdoing it and potentially falling down the slippery slope and all these, things just not functioning the way they should be, because I've worked so hard on making all those things good and optimal, I think. But then there's been a bit of a mind. What's actually quite funny? I don't know if I told you this, but on our first session with this guy, he asked me, he's like, he's like, I need to learn about you. So he's like, walk me through your typical day.
Should have asked me.
Yeah, well, actually, he has a call with my wife coming up soon. And he's probably going to have a call with you at some point to speak to people around me to hear about me. I don't know if I'm going to connect with you. But anyhow, so session one, he asked me and says, I need you to walk me through your typical day so I get a feel for what you're like.
Did you tell him your whole morning and night routine?
Yeah, so
the shanty mat and everything?
I told him everything. At one point, I was like, I just kind of looked at his face and he was like, he didn't seem interested in hearing about like my step.
Okay, hold on. Before we get there, you guys need to explain to him. His name's Bjorn. What is his accent? Please tell us where he's from.
He's Dutch. Okay. That's another thing that's come from working with Bjorn is I feel like my Dutch accent's got. I've never impersonated him in our calls. I'm actually going to send him this podcast. Oh my God. But just so you know, Bjorn, when I talk about you to anyone else, I'm doing a Dutch accent the whole time. Anyway,
okay, so just imagine this in his mind. Yeah, okay, go.
Very honest Dutch man.
Yes.
And he in the first call, so he's asked me to walk him through his day. And I was, quite proud of like the fact that I have these like really diligent routines, because I guess for me, I read about high performing people a lot, and it's like all these high performing people have these diligent routines, blah blah. So I'm like almost boastfully saying like, and then I do my ankle cars and then I do my knee cars. These are joint rotations, which, and at the end of the day, at the end of all of it, he's like bored out of his mind by this point. He's like, what are you doing? He's like, you were so, basically something along the lines, I can't remember. I was in kind of shock at how he responded. I was expecting praise and it was like not praise at all. And it was just like, what are you doing? He's like, everything you do right now, it basically confirms why you are so average, basically. And it's like, if you don't want to be average anymore, you got to stop doing all that shit. And I was like, okay, that's definitely the other end of the spectrum of what I've been thinking about the power of routine and stuff, right?
Right.
So, but I'm like, okay, this guy's, he's opened my mind up to look at things a little differently. And so, and it was like funny again, like going back to like the like everything happens for a reason. I also happened to listen to this podcast from a guy called Andy Galpin, who's like, he's very smart. I don't even know he's a neuroscience scientist, kind of like a Andrew Huberman type guy. And he basically talks about this idea of like biohacking and people trying to become too resilient by creating all these routines, and by having all these routines you actually become unresilient,
literally,
because the moment these routines are thrown out the window, you've got nothing.
Yeah,
right. So if the things are taken away from you, what are you going to do now? If you can't sleep, if you can't sleep without your 40-minute nighttime routine, like
what happens when you have a child?
Zombie apocalypse comes, you're dead, you're first guy
literally
dying. And so these two things happen within like the space of a day, and I'm like, okay, you know what, I need to maybe challenge my thoughts now. Right. So I was like, I basically threw all those routines out the window, things I talk about every day on my social media. And you're fine. I threw them out the window. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to go, like, basically like what Izzy would say is like, Jesus, take the wheel and let's just see what happens. Right. With my training, I'm like, okay, I'm wearing this ultra human ring now. And it's like, it's actually telling me I'm okay. I'm like, I'm not dying. My sleep is, I'm getting good results every day. Yeah. Maybe I can handle this. Maybe I'm more resilient than I think. And then I was like, well, okay, I'm coming in, I'm feeling tired, I'm feeling fatigued, but I got work to do. Like this guy sets me KPIs every week. And if I don't do them, like he's going to fire me. That's basically like
and all your money's going to waste.
And then everything's gone. Yeah. So like there are things I've got to do on a weekly basis outside of just my job now. So I just threw caution to the wind and was like, I'm just gonna kind of just go all into this, and I'm not gonna worry about all that stuff, and I'm gonna give myself a grace period to see if my body can adapt. It's gonna be rough at the start because it was rough at the start because there was obviously the emotional turmoil that I was going through. There was like stark realizations of where I needed to improve my business, and some of those things were big changes that needed to take place that were gonna include a lot of uncomfortable conversations. So there's the emotional toll from all that. And then obviously the physical on top of that. There's a lot of big stress on my plate, but it was uncomfortable for a couple of weeks, but I just kind of woke up every day and I kind of just said, right, head to the stone, do the work. You got to break out the mold of being who you were if you want to see something different happen in your life. Really, that's the way I look at it. And I do want something different to happen. So I can't just be doing the same stuff. Yeah. And so here I am 6 weeks later. I feel like great. There's there's hard conversations. Last night was one of them. Yeah. I called you and Ant at like 9 p.m. and was like, guys, we got to talk about something. But I do go to bed every night, reflecting my day, being like, I really accomplished something today. And I feel really good about where we're going with it. And I'm nervous, but I'm excited tomorrow to do it all again. And I really am feeling that right now. I don't know how long this is going to last, but I'm excited for where we're going. Yeah. So I guess it's like going back to your question.
How you are.
How
20
are
minutes
you?
later.
Because it's like, I don't know, good is just not, it's not a one-word answer.
It's not.
Right? Because it's like, it is hard. And there's been very challenging times over the last 6 weeks. But I can see the goodness in it all and why this is something I want to do. Nothing feels like a sacrifice. Doesn't feel like an ask. I'm not second guessing myself on why, whether I should be doing this. Like, it feels like this is what I should be doing. Yeah. Yeah,
no, that's really good. I think a big reason I wanted to do this was the catch up because the last 6 weeks have been absolutely so enjoyable for me. I'm not even gonna lie. Seeing you like this, I've never seen you like this.
Well, when you say like this, what is that?
I think I've never seen you as anxious as you have been And it's like, it's humanizing to you. And it's not like, and I would say we're pretty close. So I've seen lots of sides of you, but this has been the most like real side that is relatable. And like, that's why I wanted to share it with people if and when you were ready, because one of my first things I was going to ask you now is like, what happened to all your routines? Because you're answering messages until 8 o'clock. You're forcing us on management calls at 9:30 p.m. And I'm just like, how is he winding down? How is he sleeping? You know what I mean? And it's just like you putting all of those, like, in my opinion, they were unrealistic expectations of how your life should be structured in a way that optimizes yourself as a human, right? And like, since becoming a mom, I realized like those were very unrealistic expectations. And I always was like, oh, I can't wait till Ed has a child, because you're never going to be able to do how are you going to do a 30-minute shanty mat routine with a child, right?
That's a shanty mat.
Whatever. So like, I do feel like we're saying everything's happening for a reason. If anything, this is preparing you for your upcoming, hopefully, journey into parenthood, because now like you will be resilient enough to handle all of that, right? And like I'm saying, you're paying someone, this is how I think of it, you're paying someone to basically dominatrix your ass, but not physically, mentally. Like, this guy berates the shit out of you, and it is absolutely hilarious, because a lot of the times I'm like, I told you so. And you hate it that I say that, but almost every day I'm like,
Izzy, I pay you to help me make better decisions. So don't give me your I told you so bullshit.
Okay, but let's go back where sometimes I do tell you and you're like, oh, whatever, I don't believe what you're saying. And so it's really nice to have someone else outside who, and it's not that I don't think that you don't trust me or you don't respect me. I think it's just different, to have someone on the outside also confirming what I'm saying and then confirming what we're doing. It's helpful. Whereas before it felt very much like it was me and then everyone else with the same ideals, and I was like the different one trying to say something, and then that becomes hard. But then now having someone help me open the business's eyes to more, it's been really nice to see, like, and just it makes work more inspiring and more like you have more to accomplish is what you're feeling now. But like, it definitely is, like I said, enjoyable to see you not suffer is the wrong word, but to see you just
you are enjoying that.
I'm fucking enjoying it. But like, to see you just really working so hard, and it's not like you didn't work hard before, but it's like you're like a novice now in an industry where you were a professional, and that doesn't happen because a lot of people who get to professional level, they just cruise, and they're being like, I've done this for so long, I don't have anywhere to go. But you've literally forced yourself to go back to zero and fight again, and
it's interesting you say that, because I mean, one of the quotes I have written on my wall, I have these blackboards on my wall with like just things that I've heard over the years that like really spoke to me at a certain time, and one of them was go to bed an expert and wake up a novice, which is basically every day is a new day, an opportunity for learning. And one of the things that Bjorn, I'll call him Bjorn rather than mentor, one of the things Bjorn said to me straight away is like, Ed, you're really lazy. And I was like, am I lazy? I'm like, would I say that I'm a lazy person? I'd say, I'm really sorry. I really don't think I'm a lazy person. I work pretty damn hard, and like I've done this for a really long time. He said, I'm not saying you don't put in effort, but you're intellectually lazy. And I'm like, okay, what does that mean? He says, you're intellectually lazy because you stopped learning.
Developing.
You stopped being a novice. And when you think you know the answers, you become intellectually lazy. And so the moment it's a mistake that I think a lot of people, and I have clearly made the mistake, I realize now that, you get to a point in your journey of whatever it is, maybe it's sport, it's your professional life, or it's a relationship, and you stop putting in the work. You stop asking questions. So in the gym, you stop speaking to your customers, you stop sitting on the gym floor and watching what's happening. You stop looking at your group classes and picking out ways that things can be better or things that aren't, because you just kind of get comfortable. And that's what intellectually lazy means. And I realized that I was like, you know what, I have been intellectually lazy. And so one of the things that he has really pushed me to do, and I've kind of pushed the rest of the team to do, is this whole idea of just, okay, whenever we say the word think, we need to back it up with data, right? So if you have a hunch or you have a feeling about something, then you need to look into that, and you need to get some form of facts to support it.
Okay,
right?
I just have to share. After his first meeting, he was literally like, Bjorn told me my feelings are shit.
Yeah. So he basically said,
I cracked up because I was like, I've been telling you this for 3 years to stop trusting your gut. Every time you trust your gut, we end up in this shithole. And you thought you had this massive
Thought I had a
Buddha level
superpower.
intellectual.
Yeah, this sixth sense.
Did
So
not have
basically,
a sixth sense.
he says, okay, so he asked me to write down my 5-year vision. That's like step number 1 before we can even start, right? I need to know where you want to take this thing so that, you know, for him, he can help me try and achieve those things. Or he's gonna either tell me that your goal sucks, I'm not gonna work with you. Basically, that's the ultimatum that he gave me. I'm like, okay, shit. So this needs to be a good goal. This needs to be worthy, because part of me is fearing this guy's going to fire me on day 1 because he's like, you think too small, you don't dream big enough. So basically, I write down, I go through this goal setting process. Yes, he's not impressed, but he does say he basically asked me, like, how was this process? How was this activity, this exercise of writing down? I said, it's actually really hard. I find it pretty challenging to write a 5-year goal. He said, why is that? I said, well, I've never really been a goal guy. Like, I don't really I've never been a 1 year, 3 year, 5-year goal guy. I just kind of go with the flow. And he's like,
and live in the present, you know? So there's always also this. It's like, live in the moment.
Yeah, live in the moment, you know, do what feels right, go with your gut. So I basically said, that has been me. I said, and he said, okay, and how's that gone for you? I said, well, I mean, I feel like I've done some pretty good stuff. Like, look at what we've created. Like, that's all been off the gut. And he said, okay, can I ask you a question? He said, you know, if I asked you 15 years ago when you started this business, would you envision that you'd have your business like it is now and you'd be doing what you're doing? I said, no, there's no way I would have envisioned that I'd be doing this. He said, okay, I want you to write this down. So I'm like, all right, I get really excited to write down some like pearls of wisdom. And he's like, my name is Ed. My name is Ed. I trust my intuition. And my intuition is shit. I'm like, okay. And my intuition is shit. He's like, this is it, Ed. Your intuition is shit. He's like, you didn't see that you get to this point in your life, which means that the things you thought 15 years ago have not happened. And if you keep on living your life that way, you're never going to achieve big things. Okay, I was like, wow, okay, yeah. Fair enough. So in that call, you know, as we just had conversations, there was multiple times where I would say, I think. And he would just stop me. He said, there's your intuition again. Your intuition speaking. Like, have you got facts to back that up? I'm like, no, I don't have facts. So, you know, one of the first things I did was we created a survey and sent it out to our customers. Because, you know, he asked me questions like, what are your pain points in your business? Like, why aren't you at 100% capacity? Why aren't you achieving X, Y, Z? And I'm like, well, I think, and then I was like, okay, I need to back this up. So really simple. Like, you create a survey, you send it out to people.
It was literally just 3 questions.
3 questions. And then we just looked at the data and I was like, whoa. Yes, like some of my intuition was correct. But at the end, my intuition wasn't that accurate. There was a lot of other things that I was like, didn't think about. Yeah. People cared about that or valued about that. And we immediately started making data-based decisions. And that has been probably one of the biggest changes we've made so far, is that rather than going off hunches, because we all have hunches, it's a very natural thing to do. Like, you think you know why something is working or why something is not. And I think now I can see you getting into the habit of it a little bit as well. You know, like Chris, who I work with really closely, I can see him getting into habit 2.0 with the media stuff. Like, we all say it, right? We all say, okay, I think we should try this. And then it's like, well, okay, let's try it, but let's have the data tell us if what we think is right or wrong. And so it's been a pretty cool, I would say it has changed the process of business. You make way more accurate decisions, informed decisions, or at least confidence-based decisions, right? You can make decisions and have this confidence to know that it's like, well, I've tested this and the testing confirms that if I do this, it's going to achieve the result that I want. And that results in more commitment, more buy-in, more intention, and just things have just been a lot better. And it's been fun, actually. It's been fun being like, let's not try and just get all the answers, but let's run these A/B tests and these experiments, and let's really see what the actual market thinks, or fill in the blank. I wanted to quickly interrupt this episode with a quick shout out to our sponsors, Today Well Spent. I've been using this journal for 2 years, and it has made a massive impact on my physical, but mostly my mental well-being. It is a guided journal backed by neuro and behavioral science, which I actually didn't know at the time. It has questions for you to answer at the start of the day, at the end of the day, end of every week, end of every month. And it's brought so much self-awareness to me of the things that positively and negatively impact my life. So if you're someone who cares about your physical and your mental well-being, which I think you do because you listen to this podcast, then go and grab yourself a Today Well Spent. Use the discount code THEPROCESS, one word in capitals, to get your discount.
Yeah, I think I'm not saying I think again, but for me, the hardest part about it has been he's really making things like a business, whereas like we've operated a lot and we moved away from that drastically over the last 6 years I've been here, where it was like a family run business and we've made it more like a business, but this is all customer facing. Everything internally was still run very much like a family. You know what I mean? And so I've always believed in making it a little bit more structured, but I also have a very soft side that likes to people please. And I know you have that as well. And so that I think has been the most uncomfortable part of the whole thing for us, but we've definitely needed it. Someone externally who doesn't have any relations with people inside to basically be like, you guys are being stupid, you know? And so like those processes have been a lot easier.
You just reminded me. I've got literally a million Bjorn stories.
Every week, because his calls are on Tuesday afternoons, I like have anxiety from the morning I wake up because
me too.
I'm like, oh my God, at 6:30 he's gonna have a call. That means at like around 7:38, Ed's gonna message me with a list of these things, or Ed's gonna say he just cried, or the first message I'm gonna get is that, oh my God, worst meeting ever.
Or I'm like, oh, you know, Bjorn's really nice to me
There was
today.
only 2 weeks of that. One week where Ed was like, wow, Bjorn complimented me. And I was like, and then the next week he was like, he must have been having a shit day. He said, I'm so shit.
Yeah. He brought me back down to reality the next week.
Okay, what was this thing you just remembered?
What was it? What were you just talking about?
Being nice to people and
employees. Oh, yeah. So he had this, it was funny. So he basically had this, he had me do this exercise, right? Which was basically, you got to list down every staff member in your team. And then you got 5 different categories. It's like, you know, likability, you know, from 1 to 10, how much of an Olympic performer are they? Like how much are they, how close are they functioning at capacity? How much space they have to grow? Is this person on a scale of 1 to 10, the right person to help you achieve your 5-year vision? You know, very subjective things that basically I felt. And I would basically rank every single one of our staff members. And it's funny, like for 3 weeks, he kept on saying, using this like story of this time that he had, you know, that someone who was a CEO had basically fired themselves because they weren't doing a good job. Wow. And then he just kept on basically saying to myself, he'd be like, and you know, if you're not doing a good job as CEO, like you just so you know, you need to fire yourself. So I was like, okay, yeah, noted. And then the next week roll around, he'd be like, just remember, Ed, like, if you're not doing a good job, you know, you need to replace yourself instantly. I'm like, right, okay, he's saying this again. Yeah, so then the 3rd week, he gives me this exercise to list down all the staff members. And then he says, remember, you got to put yourself down here as well. And if you're not doing a good job, Ed, you need to fire yourself. And I'm like, right, Bjorn, can I just pause you for a second? I'm like, okay, you mentioned this idea of firing myself.
How nervous were you to ask him this question?
No, because I was just at this point like, am I wasting my time being a CEO? Because I mean, this guy's brutally honest, and I ask for honesty. It's exactly what I need. Yeah. I don't need to be sugar-coated. I don't need to be pampered. Honestly, it's nice to receive compliments, but that's not really what I need. Like, that's not moving me forward. I got 1 hour with this guy every week. Yeah. Like I need him to just hit me all the shit that I need to improve at. But then at this point in time, I'm really questioning, like, am I the right person for this job? You know, I finish every call and I'm like, I sometimes just walk out to the living room to Cammy. I'm just like, I suck.
You have said that to me so many times. You've been like, I'm really bad at my job. You're like, I don't know if I should even work here anymore.
No, really,
like, this is your business.
I'm like, I've always been someone who probably like lives on the side of confidence. Right. I think when I was younger, people sometimes mistook it for like arrogance, right? Yeah. But I'm just confident what I do. But I would say that my confidence is like pretty low.
This is what I was going to say. It's been a good experience to watch because like I'm a very insecure person, and like being with you, like you've never really been insecure the last 6 years. And like I said, it's just it's a humbling experience to see someone just be more real, you know? And like, I'm not saying it's good to have insecurities, but like the doubt, it shows like you're human. And that's why I think people need to understand too, is like, yes, it may seem like you have all the answers in the books, or that you're so confident, or that you have so much experience and all that kind of stuff. But it's like, at this moment in time, you're really not. But it's like a good journey and we always like put out podcasts that'll be like, oh, you need to you know, be spiritual and like find yourself and like work on your confidence and do all of these da 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 da. But it's like, well, in reality, no one has their shit together.
No.
And it's like, it's a cycle. You'll go through times where you feel so great in life and then you're brought back down, but it's the ebbs and flows that it's going to help you become even better. And like, I sent you this quote that was like, in times when something like a huge shift for the better is about to happen to your life is like the most challenging moment. And I feel like that's where we're in right now, where like we have so much doubt, we have so much insecurity, we have so much fear in what we're doing, how we're doing it. Like literally every day it's a ping pong of back and forth. Like, should we do this? Should we do that? Should we change this? What are we doing? You know, like literally every conversation is like, no this, no that, no that. Oh no, should we not? But it's like, it's real, you know, and this is what people go through on the daily, but you have to be willing to be uncomfortable, or like you said, we're not going to go anywhere, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so anyways, he made you feel like you're this shit.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, he didn't intentionally make me feel shit, but I guess
I think it's intentional.
I mean, he's just being honest. He says his thing. He always says like, "Listen, Ed, I'm Dutch and I'm honest." Right. So sometimes I'll ask him a question like, "Can you be honest with me?" He's like, "Of course I'm going to be honest with you. Why are you even saying that?" So but I basically said to him, I said, "Bjorn, can I just ask you a question?" I was like, and be honest. I did say, "Be honest with me." He's like, "Yes, of course." I said, "I know I'm not doing a great job right now. You know, I feel like I'm not doing a great job right now. And I know I have a lot to improve on. I know for the goals that I've set and the things I want to achieve, I need to get better. But I really feel that I can get better. And I really feel like I'm the person to do this."
How many times did you say feel? Did you not get pissed?
Yeah, it's true. That's probably why he's rolling his eyes at this point. But I said, you know, I think I can be the person to do this. But can I ask you honestly, like, do you think I can do it? Because you've told me 3 times now that you think
you should find
that I should fire myself if I think I'm not good enough. And so he basically said, you know, he had some really nice things to say. He said he could definitely see that I was someone that worked hard, and I tried basically. I tried really hard, but he could see that the effort wasn't lacking, and that I was driven to achieve things. But like you said, which is where the story's coming from, is that the one thing he questioned me on was my ability to make hard decisions and putting the company first. You know, so I think when I'd reflected, I think, you know, I always remember the quote, and I only learned this a couple of summers ago. I think it's the Navy. I think it's a quote in the Navy that, you know, the ship comes first, the sailor comes second, and the self comes last. And what that means is that when it comes to making decisions for business, you always need to put the business first, because without the business, there's nothing.
Yeah.
And then the next thing is you got to think about the sailor, which is your team, your employees. And then the last person you think about is the self. And I think I'm pretty good at putting self last, but I definitely get mixed up sometimes around putting the sailors before the ship. And really, it does come down to people pleasing. And it's like, it's sometimes, even though I feel like I've gotten so much better at having difficult conversations, and I don't think I shy away from them, when I know I have to do it, you know, I won't put that thing off. But it's about acknowledging in the first place that a difficult conversation and a difficult decision needs to take place. And I think that is definitely something that I want to be better at. But it's hard as being such a people-centric person. And I think I would probably call myself more of like an empathetic leader, which I think has lots of great qualities, but there's 2 sides to every coin. So the great qualities are you develop great relationships with your team, and they can feel heard and they can feel seen. The other side of the coin is that when it comes time to make really difficult decisions and potentially upsetting people, you don't make them because you're too worried about how they're going to feel. So that is like definitely one of many, many things that I'm trying to work on and improve. And I would probably say it's going to be the hardest thing for me to step up on.
Yeah, that's one thing. I think, like, I don't think you have trouble with difficult conversations. What you have trouble with is the actions that follow those difficult conversations. Like, you'll be very honest, you'll give feedback where it's meant to be, but then you don't want to then, once you've hurt someone's feelings, kind of make it formal, which is then a business-minded thing, right? And because you hope the best in people, which is one of your best qualities, that difficult conversation will then cause change, and you'll never have to do anything about it again, which in reality is never the case, right?
Or rarely the case.
Rarely, I'm not gonna say never. It's like there'll probably be another incident and another incident where it's like, as a business, you need these incidents to be noted, or you need change to occur. Otherwise, they just end up a year later being detrimental to your success, right? So I don't think you have trouble with the difficult conversations. It's just you then see the best in people thinking that they'll never do it again, right? Which
I have this like wishful thinking that just the hard conversation is enough to turn around performance. When really, if it, you need to have specific ways to measure whether that performance has been achieved, and when it's not, then you got to step in fast, and you got to make that decision, and then that's where I need to improve for sure.
Yeah, one of the things I've also enjoyed is your ability now to make rational decisions quickly. I think before it was like when I would, because like what you said, you pay me to give you good advice. When I would give advice, business advice, it would be like I was trying to convince you to do something beneficial for your business. But whereas now it's like, you're like, nope, these are the facts, we're doing it. And then I'm the one that's being like, are you sure? Are you sure? Because I'm so not used to you just being like, nope, this is what it looks like and there's no question about it. You know, like it's no longer me having to convince you. It's this is what's on paper. So we're going to do it. Yes, it's going to be hard, but there's no other option. You know, like the proof is right here in everything that we have. So I do think these systems are very helpful, and like I'm excited to test them out with us, and then we're going to share this. Like I don't think anything's ready for us to be shared yet. It's just 6 weeks, and there's a lot we're still working on. There's a lot that we are working on for next year that I'm very excited about, that we're all very passionate about. Like, but like I said, we still don't know, you know, like, and that's the thing that is exciting but also scary for us, that I feel like we're all beginners again trying to do something
I think one
new.
thing that we're all doing way more now and doing a better job of is like doing our research. And when we have, we're a bunch of pretty humble people, I would say, in many ways, and that's one of our values, right? We've just got to be honest, and I think we have no problem in admitting when we don't know something. And now, rather than just, you know, picking a random decision and hoping that it pays off, we're doing a lot more due diligence now, right? You know, speaking to people, doing what we call experience shares, where we just connect with someone in the industry who's doing what we're trying to achieve, and just asking questions and listen. And because of that, it allows us to make more informed decisions. But still, like, there's still a fear of moving into the unknown. And sometimes, I mean, one of the things I've been extremely grateful for since starting with him and, you know, really trying to turn this business around is the fact that I have people like you, I have people like Anne, people like Tammy, and I've got a great team of people who are always willing to give me advice. And, you know, without you guys, the speed of growth and change would be 10% less than it currently is. And I'm just so grateful to have people around me that I can do this with, because I think I'd feel all very on my own, and anxiety levels would be 100 times more if I didn't have you. But then sometimes, you know, by having a team of people, when you all have differing opinions, that makes it, it's a blessing and a curse, right? You have the great thing where, you know, when you all decide on the same thing, you have extra confidence that it's the right thing to do. But like, you know, there are plenty of things where we have
all of us
three completely different decisions, and we're like, okay, well, this is something that none of us really know about, and we have three separate decisions. Like, how do we proceed? How do we progress? But
again, I think it's such a good thing that you've brought up in us, that we're able to say our differing opinions confidently without fear of being shut down or fear of not saying the right thing. Like, all of us are able to be like, no, this is what we believe, this is what we want to do, and then it's a conversation on the table, rather than like,
although when you don't eat your food, you're pretty aggressive.
No, I'm a bitch.
I'm glad you ate your food before the podcast.
I had to. Is your knee okay?
Actually, surprisingly, my left leg is the one that keeps getting pins and needles.
You keep fidgeting. You don't seem very comfortable anymore. Okay, we're gonna wrap this up.
I like the cushion. I really do. I actually do like the cushion.
Hey, if we have any cushion sponsors, just message us. We're trying to make this more relaxed, guys. We're also looking for a couch sponsor. That would be great, you know?
Anyway, we have an office sponsor as well to give us some more space.
We just need an overall sponsor, a life sponsor. Anyway.
Well, okay. I know you want to wrap this up, but I want to just, Did you just say we're going to wrap this up?
I would like to, but I was going to end with 3 questions because we're after our 40 minutes.
Are we 40 minutes ready?
Right, Al?
Has that been 40 minutes?
Yeah, it's 4:37. What time did we start?
Nah, it's not 47 minutes.
See?
41 minutes.
Yeah. You've lasted in that position for 41 minutes.
Okay, well, okay, I'm going to ask you one question. I know you have been sharing like how you have felt throughout the last 6 weeks in this process, but like, so let me ask you, you're going to give me the express answer.
Because he's got 40 minutes and I got 2 minutes.
Well,
that's how this relationship works.
This was about to end without...
That's how this therapy session works.
This is about to end without me even getting to ask you anything.
You just said I would take the lead.
Okay, so like, how are you feeling throughout all of this? I know there's lots of other things that I know happening in your life right now that are throwing... had their own unique set of challenges, and I think we'll talk about that in our next catch up.
Yeah.
But with these changes that have happened, since I've started working with mentor, how have you been feeling personally and professionally?
Yeah, I think I've shared a lot of it with you, is in the sense that I feel more hopeful for the future. Since I am the general manager, it is hard to envision more growth and like coming into this new season of my life where I'm a mom, and it's like you just want a life that's more secure and successful to be able to raise your child. Like, I think these new ideas that are coming, whereas like you said, we were very comfortable before, we were cruising, we were like, this is okay, we're unsure what more we're going to do or achieve, whereas now it's like we're at the bottom. The world, like, we've actually got so much more we want to and can achieve. That excites me because then I see infinite growth, maybe not infinite, but I see more growth than before, and I'm like, wow, and I'm excited again to be here. Not that I wasn't, but it's like I see more potential for me and more things that we can do, and like, just, it's definitely a hard work, like what you said, but it's purposeful work. Like, it's a reason to want to do stuff. It's not just to do stuff. It's like, well, if I want better for my life and my daughter's life, and if I want this to be the place to do it, then I've got to put in the work and do the late hours and stuff so that I can make it actually happen. And like I said, I'm grateful for Bjorn because he's also kind of allowed, not like you never took feedback well. You've always taken feedback well, but I feel like this is actually you taking feedback even better, in the sense that you're now open to more ideas, is like what I said. And like him being like, well, you need to shy away from your ideologies a little more if you want more. That was one of the big things he said in the beginning. And that was like, that gave me hope, because like we come from different backgrounds of fitness training, and it's like now you're more open to new ideas of training, and with still staying true to our values, but like maybe just a little bit detour to the right rather than straight shot, which is what we've always done, right? And so again, that provides more opportunities and more excitement for the potential and possibilities that we can have. And it's nice to have another person in the operationals corner, because like it very much feels that way. It feels like, well, I've got the ops team, and like what you said, I'm the top of the ops team, so it's like there's no one really to bounce ideas with me or to grow in that sense. And then it's all of the coaches who are much louder, and it's like this is a coach driven organization, right? And so I feel like all the coaches together have more of a say when things happen, whereas like, okay, now I have another person on my ops team with another business hat who's got my back and agrees with a lot of things that I'm saying, so it gives me more of a voice to now also be like, well, what does Bjorn say? And if Bjorn says it in his Dutch aggressive accent, apparently you listen to that. You like being bullied. I think that is
maybe that's it.
That's it. Just you needed to be bullied a little, and now we're on the right path. Is how I feel.
What's cool in hearing that is that, and I kind of knew this going into this investment, because it's a massive investment, right? Is that I know that this investment is going to pay itself off, right? I've never worked with a mentor at any point in my life where, I mean, at some point the investment no longer reaps the reward, and that's where you stop it. But I just knew that this is what I needed. And I knew that this was not just going to be an investment in me. This was going to be an investment in you. Yeah. It was going to be an investment in Anne, in Tammy, in all of our coaching team. It was going to have a trickle effect into this organization, because naturally I'm someone who loves to just pass on, what I'm learning. And so everything, I mean, there was going to be a natural trickle effect into the business, because whatever change I make is going to impact everyone ultimately. But I've also been really open to sharing, what I'm learning and how that's impacted my business. And I also know, I'm in a position where I mentor 9 other business owners who have their own affiliate gyms, as do you. And I think, you know, I want to be able to give more to those guys and girls as well, and be able to help their businesses blossom and bloom. And so I knew that, you know, me having a mentor was going to allow me to be a better mentor to all the people that I'm trying to help and I'm trying to support. So I love that you almost feel like he's kind of become your mentor as well. And it's kind of like, you know, it's inspired some hope in all of us. I think that's definitely something I'm feeling, is that and it's not that I don't think people trusted my decision making. Maybe you didn't. But I think it's that people didn't trust my decision making. But it's like,
it just wasn't backed with
when
data.
you know you have back, but it's not even just data. When you know you've got this other person who has achieved a lot of things that we're inspiring to achieve and has done that in so many different businesses, then you just have more. It just gives you confidence, isn't it? It's like, it gives you a bit more belief that, okay, the thing that Ed's saying now, because it's come from this person, it has to hold more weight. So I'm going to buy into it more. And, you know, maybe because it's making too many crap decisions over the last 15 years, you know, my ability to get buy-in and belief has maybe like dwindled a little bit. That's probably happened. And that's what happens to anyone. Like, it's the circle of trust gets broken every time you try and do something and you don't deliver on it, whether it's intentional or not. So I can definitely feel that there's a fire, not just, I don't feel like I'm not the only one that has a fire that's been lit inside me. I can see that fire lit in everyone else as well. I'm just an impatient person. Like, I
can tell you all of that for a fact.
So that's just why I just want to like achieve everything now, and then just get on to the next thing and get on to the next thing and get on to the next thing. And
it's when Ed messages, you need to send it in 5 minutes, but when you message Ed, he won't reply until tomorrow.
But actually, have you noticed?
You're way better now.
Yes.
Yeah, that's one out. Like, I'm so impressed. Like, I don't need to call you anymore for you to answer.
Yeah.
You'll answer. Even if it's 9 o'clock, you'll answer the phone.
Yeah. So I think that's another thing I realized is like, if I want to, and if we're going to make shit happen,
you got to be available to make shit happen.
Yeah.
You can't be fucking meditating.
I can't make the whole world wait on my schedule.
Literally doing your cars for what?
For good shoulder mobility.
For what?
Yeah, that's true. So yeah, I think it's been, it's been a good 6 weeks, and thank you for asking.
No.
Thank you for asking and checking in. It's actually nice to kind of put this out there and really share it. Share everything that's been going on.
I know this has been really fun. And hopefully when we do it again, we'll have more to catch up on. I know this is this won't be an ending journey anytime soon. And thank you for letting yourself be vulnerable to share all of the ups and downs of it. And
What's your 3 questions? Did you say you had 3 questions?
It's too late now. So we'll
save
that for next
ones?
time. We'll save that for next time. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.